It is 11:40 p.m., and you are writing the long message. Well, you're not really writing it, you're negotiating with it. You soften the opening, add context, delete the sentence that sounds angry, then add it back. And then, this is the signature move, you add a whole paragraph explaining that you are not trying to create conflict. Which is how a normal reply quietly becomes a tiny hostage note written by a committee. And you're every member of the committee, your legal, your PR. You're the nervous intern who keeps whispering, maybe we shouldn't send this at all. Your chest is tight, right? One person's read of you is suddenly wired to your job, your relationship, your reputation, maybe your rent. So you keep typing, as if the perfect paragraph could reach through the screen and make them judge you fairly. And look, of course it feels safer. When someone has power over something you need, words can feel like the only lever you're allowed to touch. And I'm not lecturing from a mountaintop here. I've written that message. Tonight even. But picture a different version of you. You read the message, answer the actual issue, keep what matters, then press send, without attaching an emotional autobiography, 3 character witnesses, and the director's commentary track. That person isn't colder than you. They've just stopped treating every accusation like an application for permission to exist. And yes, you're allowed to do that, to answer the issue without auditioning for the right to have a complete sentence. Here's the catch though. Sometimes the details are a duty. If you hurt someone, changed a shared plan, made a real mistake, or you're sitting on facts that affect safety, the clean answer might be a long one. Silence can be cowardice in a very expensive outfit. So the question was never, how do I say less? The real question is sharper. Can my answer actually change an honest decision? Or am I just feeding a frame that has no honest finish line? 3 stories tell us when. A lawyer facing Joseph McCarthy shows what a finish line looks like the moment it vanishes. The Challenger launch shows why silence can curdle into moral failure. And the Cuban Missile Crisis shows why saying less only works when another channel and another option are still breathing. By the end, you'll know which room you're standing in, what your next sentence has to do, and what has to carry the cost after that sentence stops. On June 9, 1954, the Army McCarthy hearings were being watched across the country. Senator Joseph McCarthy brought up Fred Fisher, a young lawyer at Joseph Welch's firm, and tied him to an organization accused of communist connections. Now Welch could have opened the full character defense buffet, Fisher's history, his motives, his judgment, his associations, every footnote McCarthy might turn into the next accusation. Instead, Welch named the conduct. He asked that they not assassinate this lad further. When McCarthy kept going, Welch asked, "Have you no sense of decency, sir, at long last?" And then he stopped, helping the attack continue. That line did not single-handedly end McCarthyism. Let's not do the movie version. McCarthy already had critics. The hearings had already exposed a larger pattern, and the Senate censured him later on, a much broader record. The moment matters for a narrower reason. Welch refused to prove an entire human being innocent of whatever McCarthy might imply next. That's your first diagnostic. Can the other person name a fact that would actually finish the question? If your manager says, "I'm concerned about your commitment," do not, "I'm begging you." Open with the canceled vacation, the 10 p.m. Slack messages, and a childhood story about why being called lazy makes your left eye twitch. Ask instead, which 2 commitments did I miss? If the answer gets specific, good. Reality just walked into the room. But if the complaint floats off and comes back as your tone, your attitude, or the deeply suspicious fact that you dared to ask for examples, you just learned something just as useful. Some accusations need your endless defense more than they need an answer. That's the first version of the clean answer self, not a person who never explains, a person who notices the exact moment explanation stopped being the point and became the product. And you can use one sentence tonight. "I want to address this. Please send the specific example and the standard you expected." That's not a clever comeback. It's a door with a handle on both sides. A good faith person walks through it holding facts. A bad faith person suddenly has to explain why the fog was doing all their work for them. This is where a tool I call the frame cost test earns its keep. 4 questions, and, sorry, you have to ask them in order. First, who benefits if I keep explaining? Second, What frame am I accepting by answering? Third, what cost would make truth matter here? And only then. Last, what is the shortest answer that preserves my position? The order is the whole thing. Skip to that fourth question and you get Marcus. Marcus read half a thread about the power of the one-word reply and decided he was done explaining himself forever. His manager pings him. Quick concern about your commitment. And Marcus leans back, lets it marinate for a dramatic hour, and types one word, noted, sends it, leans back further. He feels untouchable. Hold that image. We'll check on him later. Because here's what Marcus skipped. The benefit question. Does more context actually help two people solve the same problem? Or just hand one person more material while they risk nothing for staying vague? The frame question. Are you answering a missed deadline or quietly accepting a trial about whether you're loyal enough, grateful enough, easy enough? The cost question. What would force the truth to land on the next decision? A written standard, a saved email, an escalation path, a real alternative? Only then do you pick the shortest answer that keeps the fact, your record, and your next move intact. Feel the difference? You're not trying to become unreadable. You're becoming hard to trap in a conversation where somehow only you have to produce evidence. But this idea gets dangerous the second it starts to feel flattering. The internet adores the fantasy that silence is always strength. I mean, it lets us feel profound without doing any actual paperwork. History has a brutal counterexample. This is where your permission to stop pleading needs a hard limit. On January 27, 1986, engineers and managers from NASA and Morton Thiokol were on a call about the next morning's Challenger launch. The forecast was unusually cold. Thiokol engineers feared that the rubber O-rings in the solid rocket booster joints might not seal quickly enough. Those seals had to respond fast enough to keep hot gas from escaping. This was not a debate about presentation style. The engineers presented their data and initially recommended against launching below 53 degrees Fahrenheit, the coldest relevant flight experience they had. NASA managers pushed back on the recommendation. During an off-net caucus, Thiokol management reversed the company's position, even as the engineers kept objecting. The Rogers Commission later found that the senior launch decision-makers never received the full problem history, the initial written no-launch recommendation, or the engineers' continuing opposition. Challenger launched the next morning. 73 seconds later, the vehicle broke apart. All 7 crew members died. There is no useful joke after that. And if your instinct right now is to turn this into a neat lesson about speaking less, stop. That erases the people who were trying to make the danger visible. The engineers weren't weak because they kept explaining. The details were owed. The decision was specific. Evidence could have changed it. Other people were going to carry the risk. But the case exposes something stronger than speak up. Truth that stays trapped inside the person who sees it can still lose. It has to become visible to someone who actually has the authority to stop the process. That's yours too. If a client is about to act on a false number, correct it plainly. If your mistake hit a partner, name the impact and repair it. If a safety concern is being quietly buried, move the evidence up to the level that can actually stop the harm. So the clean answer self is not addicted to brevity. It can do the harder thing. Tell the whole relevant truth without turning that truth into a plea for approval. And good faith doesn't mean the conversation feels nice. It means the question is relevant. A standard can be named, and evidence has a real chance of changing what happens next. So don't use this episode as a weapon against someone honest. A partner asking why you changed a shared plan is not McCarthy. A teammate asking for the assumptions behind your number is not trying to erase your soul. Picture it. Your partner looks up from the couch and asks, completely neutrally, "Hey, why'd we move the trip to October?" And you, armed with your brand new philosophy of not over-explaining, go quiet. You give them the slow, knowing nod. "I don't feel I need to justify that." Congratulations, you've just deployed nuclear counter-surveillance on a person who wanted one sentence about a hotel booking. They didn't want your personal sovereignty manifesto. Sometimes, no joke, it really is just the spreadsheet. So the permission is precise. You may stop pleading where pleading can't finish the question. You still owe the truth where the truth can protect another person or repair a real harm. And now the deeper problem shows up. Even if you nail the diagnosis, even if you correctly spot a hostile frame, a short answer, all by itself, might change absolutely nothing. Remember Marcus. Let's check on Marcus. Bean. You can reply "noted" to a boss who controls your paycheck, your insurance, your schedule, your references, and, let's be honest, a decent chunk of your self-belief. 2 syllables, 5 dependencies. The word is cool. The situation is not. Marcus's manager did not read "noted" and think, "Wow, what a centered individual." He read it and thought, "This guy has checked out." Nothing was behind the word, no record, no standard, no receipts, no other option. So the coolest one-liner in the building walked Marcus straight out of the building. A short answer isn't power just because it's short. Or you leave a manipulative family text on read, sure, and then check your phone every 4 minutes to see whether your silence has produced the desired spiritual earthquake. Technically, you're unavailable. Emotionally, you're running a 24-hour monitoring center with exactly 1 employee, and it's you. So is silence ever power? Only when a short answer refuses an irrelevant frame and something real carries the cost after it. So here's the turn, and it's almost annoying. Word count is almost beside the point. Can the answer change a decision? And what backs you when it can't? Maybe it's one recruiter who already knows your name. You don't need an action movie exit. You need one option that's more real than your performance of not caring. Now the frame cost test finally has teeth. Who benefits? What frame? What cost? What's the shortest answer that holds your position? Except now you're not running it as a costume. You're deciding which facts move, which channel can carry them, and which consequence you could actually survive. So why does the Cuban Missile Crisis belong here? Not because global nuclear strategy is anything like your performance review, thank God, but because the most famous say less move of the whole crisis was backed by pressure, restraint, a private channel, and a real concession. On October 27, 1962, the crisis was at its most dangerous. A Soviet missile had shot down an American U-2 over Cuba, killing Major Rudolph Anderson. The day before, Nikita Khrushchev had sent John F. Kennedy a message that opened a possible settlement, removing Soviet missiles in exchange for a U.S. pledge not to invade Cuba. Then a second, public message added a new demand: remove American Jupiter missiles from Turkey. Kennedy's team did not publicly rebut every term in both messages. They answered the more workable one: verified removal of Soviet missiles, an end to the U.S. quarantine, and assurances against invasion. And this is where the glamorous version has to die. The public answer only looks simple because the real work did not stop at the public answer. Because the United States did not win this by leaving Khrushchev on red. That night, Robert Kennedy privately told Soviet Ambassador Anatoly Dobrinin that the Jupiter missiles would be removed soon, while flatly rejecting a public trade made under threat. Military pressure stayed on, escalation stayed a real danger, and a private path both governments could survive stayed open. Khrushchev announced the removal of the missiles the next day. Selective answering alone did not resolve this. The secret understanding, the military balance, Soviet decisions, and both leaders wanting to avoid a war, all of it mattered. Still, one defensible reading is useful here. The public answer stayed attached to a solvable question, while another channel quietly carried the term that could have blown everything up. Now bring that back to your life. You don't have to answer every accusation in the exact channel where it was thrown at you. You can answer the relevant fact in writing, leave the loaded language alone, ask for the standard in the meeting, and quietly build an alternative outside the meeting. That's the more complete, clean answer self. Honest with people who can actually update. Detailed when someone else carries the risk. Brief when the frame has no finish line, and never leaning on a single sentence to do the job of a record, an escalation path, or a real option. Yeah, I know that sounds like a fortune cookie. Try it at 11:40 p.m. anyway. And now the title can finally pay off, without pretending you've turned into some mysterious forest creature whose silence terrifies the village. The less you explain, the more they may fear losing you, but only once they can no longer assume 3 things: cost-free access, automatic approval, and unlimited emotional testimony on demand. A manager realizes that vague criticism no longer buys an hour of free self-defense. A relative discovers that guilt no longer automatically unlocks your labor. A partner learns that an honest question gets an honest answer. But a loaded accusation does not unlock your entire private archive. They might not fear you. They might simply notice that an old convenience is gone. Good. That's enough. The goal was never to dominate the room. It was to stop being the only person paying rent to keep the room dishonest. Tomorrow morning, the performance review email lands. I have concerns about your commitment. And your stomach drops right on cue. Your hands are already warming up to produce the biography. The late nights, the covered shifts, the vacation day you canceled, the Slack reply you sent from the pharmacy line. The old move whispers its usual lie. If they could just see all of me, they'd have to be fair. Pause. Save the email with your work records. Write down the dates, the deliverables, the prior feedback that actually matters. Then send this. Thanks for flagging this. Please send 2 recent examples and the standard you expected in each. I'll review them and respond by Thursday. If the examples show up, look at them honestly. Correct the record if it needs correcting. Own a real miss if there was one. The clean answer was never an escape hatch from accountability. Then do one thing the email will never see. Update 1 page of your resume. Or message 1 old colleague. Or price out 3 months of essential expenses. Pick 1 move that makes next week a little less dependent on one person's mood. Not a feeling. A thing that actually happened. Look at what changed. You didn't go silent. You didn't file your emotional autobiography. You answered the issue, asked for the standard, saved the record, and started building somewhere for the cost to go. That's who you were trying to become at 11:40 p.m. Not impossible to question. Just impossible to keep on trial forever. Read the clean answer once, press send, and let the sentence end.